Hi, dear students. This is Mr. Professor B. Giri Raju, EC Department, ACE Engineering College. So today I am going to explain some idea about sensors and devices. Actually, this is a subject for IoT students. Actually, in this subject, we are having 5 units. Actually, unit 1 will give idea about the introduction of IoT, and the remaining units will give idea about the protocols of the IoT and web server, cloud computing, how to design RESTful communications, so everything. So now, today I am going to explain unit 1, some introduction about the IoT. So actually, generally, there is a chance to ask questions. So write a definition of IoT. So actually, what is the meaning of IoT? So according to our explanations, this is the some combination of the embedded system. That means this is the integration of the some combination of circuits. So actually, this having some sensor, so some device and actuator. So now, with the help of some communication, so you can run our embedded system device. So simply you can call as this is the IoT. So next, there is a chance to ask write a characteristics of IoT. Actually, so this having 6 types of characteristics. So first one, dynamic. Dynamic means this is the having some memory. So this will use for the purpose of storage data, so like that also. Actually, we are having 2 types of systems, static and dynamic system. So actually, static is the memoryless type of system, and dynamic is the that having some memory. With the help of dynamic systems, we are able to remember past and future samples also. So that's the reason we are going to prefer dynamic systems. So second one, self-adapting. For example, camera. So suppose if I want to connect camera with the help of IoT, so in that case I will take help of the some circuitry. So that means using camera, so we can adapt their modes. So that means you can monitor our houses also. So third one, self-configuring. So that means with the help of IoT devices, you are connect large number of devices. So work together to provide some functionality, that means sensing element. Sensing element means you should collect data from the outside. So next one, interoperable communication protocols. With the help of some infrastructure, we are able to create some communication protocols. Generally, in this case, we are prefer to use protocols as so link protocol, network protocols, transportation layer, and application layer. So with the help of that type of protocols, we are able to run IoT devices. Next, unique identity. Actually, every IoT device having some IP address or URL. So with the help of that IP address and URL, you are able to identify device numbers. So next one, integrated to information. So that means with the help of IoT devices, we are able to communicate, we are able to send information network that allows them to communicate and exchange data with other devices and systems. So actually, there is a chance to ask what are the components involved in IoT. So this is the basic block diagram of the various components in IoT. So first block diagram, sensors, devices, connectivity, data processing, user interfaces. So actually, here 4 blocks are the components of the IoT. So now, actually, what is the role of the sensors in this block diagram? So already you know the some idea about sensors. So you know the function of the sensor. So with the help of sensor, we are able to convert any physical quantity in the form of electrical signal. In the same way, you can collect data from the outside. So actually, here to run any sensor, so we need some particular setup. So that means you should provide some power to sensors also. So now in the same way, devices also. So devices means this is the entire system. That means with the help of sensor, device and actuator, so you can gather information from the outside. So actually what is the role of the sensor? Actually both sensors and devices are the key components that helps you collect line data from the surrounding environment. So actually what is a sensor? Sensor, with the help of sensor, so you can change any physical quantity in the form of electrical signal. So that is the role of the sensor. So actually it is a device, converts signal from one energy domain, electrical domain. The definition of the sensor can be better understood if we take an example into consideration. So next one, actually these are the example of the sensors. So we have in the market, we have so many types of sensors. So here I am giving some examples of the sensors. So first one, LM35. So this is the temperature sensor. So with the help of this type of sensor, we are able to catch temperature from surroundings. Color sensor. So with the help of color sensor, we are able to identify colors. Next, gas sensor. So actually this having so many types of series. The series start from MQ2 and up to MQ6. So using the type of sensors, you can catch type of gases also. Next, LDR. So you can call it the light sensor. Using LDR, you are able to estimate day and night. So next, proximity sensor. With the help of proximity sensor, you are able to catch pH values. In the same way, you are able to catch some distances also. So next one, rain sensor. So with the help of rain sensor, you can identify position of the rain. So with the help of rain sensor, you are able to run wipers, car wipers. Next, PR sensor. So actually PR stands for, this is the passive infrared sensor. So using PR sensor, so you can identify movement of the objects. For example, human detection. With the help of PR sensor, so you are able to catch movement of the human. So next, water flow sensor. So using water flow sensor, we are able to calculate speed of the water. Next, IR, infrared sensors. So using infrared sensors, we are able to calculate distance also. So now in the same ultrasonic sensor also, we can do like that. So next one, heartbeat sensor. So using heartbeat sensor, we are able to calculate position of the heart. So in the same way, you can calculate beat rate of the heart. So now we are having so many types of IR sensors. Actually, this type of sensors you can use for receiving and transmission. That's why you can take two types of sensors. Next, touch sensor. So actually our mobile phones now after depending upon the touch sensors. Humidity sensors. Using humidity sensor, we are able to calculate, we are able to estimate temperature and humidity. So next, gyroscopic sensor. Using gyroscopic sensor, we are able to find directions. Next, soil moisture sensor. So using soil moisture sensor, we are able to estimate dry and wet condition of the soil. So actually these are the types of the sensors. So actual devices. Actually a device is a system. That means according to our theoretical explanations, we are having two types of system, digital system and analog system. So analog system is the common system, it's okay. Now in this case maximum we are using digital type of systems. So you can call it the discrete time systems. So actually according to our explanations we are having 6 types of discrete time of systems. That means using discrete type of system, so you can get our output y of n equal to some transformation of x of n. So that means now we are going to convert input signal in the form of other form with the help of some transformation. Here transformation is the function of the system. So according to our explanations we are having 6 type of systems. First one, static and dynamic system. So that means here these are the 2 types of systems. That means static means not having any memory. That means that will identify only present situations. So dynamic means with the help of dynamic system we are able to catch past, present and future input samples also. So this is the role of the static and dynamic systems. So next one, causal and non-causal systems. Causal means with the help of causal systems you can identify past and present input samples. With the help of past and present input samples, so you are able to get present output samples. So next, non-causal is depending upon the present, past and future input samples to get any output. So next one, linear and non-linear systems. So already you know the idea about linear systems. So actually what is the meaning of linear? Linear means it obeys the superposition principle. So actually what is the meaning of the superposition principle? Superposition principle means weighted sum of the some inputs is equal to weighted sum of the outputs. So that is called the linear system. So next, non-linear. It doesn't obey the superposition principle. That is called the non-linear system. So next one, time variant and time invariant systems. So actually any system will give some output. Now you have to consider some delay in input, observe delayed output. For example, I have taken signal as x of n, input signal as x of n. So now I am going to make some delay, that means x of n comma k. So in that case this will give some transformation, that means this will give signal in the form of x of n minus k. Actually this is the delayed version of the signal. So now this will generate, after making some transformation, so some output y of n comma k is equal to some transformation of x of n minus k. Now in this case this will give output as y of n minus k. Here suppose if y of n minus n comma k is equal to y of n minus k, now this is called the time invariant system. Suppose not equal to, that means y of n comma k is not equal to y of n minus k, now in that case our system is a time variant system. Now in the same way you can write for linear and non-linearity also. For linearity, so you can write our transformation is like this. That means according to our definition it obeys the superposition principle. That means we can express, so that one also like this, some transformation of some weight a of x1 of n plus some weight b of x2 of n is equal to, automatically this will give our output a times transformation of x1 of n plus b times transformation of x2 of n. So this is called the superposition principle. It doesn't obey the superposition principle, we can call as the non-linear system, right? So these are our linear and non-linear and time variant systems. Okay. So next one, FIR and IR systems. So actually your FIR and IR systems are the digital filters, digital systems. So FIR stands for finite impulse response. That means using FIR system, we are able to design fixed type of system. So IR system means, IR stands for infinite impulse response. That means using that type of systems, we are able to design expandable type of systems. Here FIR the non-expandable and IR the expandable systems. So next one, stable and unstable systems. Stable means, so actually according to our definitions, it actually here the output depends. That means you can say for any bounded output is equal to any bounded inputs. That means you are balancing outputs is equal to inputs with the help of some bounded values. That means here the bounded output is equal to the bounded input samples. That is called the stable. So actually our definitions, you can write condition for the stability, summation n is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity, h of n is less than infinity. This is the condition for stability. So now in the same you can write for unstable also. Unstable means the bounded input is not equal to the bounded outputs. That is called the unstable. So that means now we can write a condition for the unstable, summation n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity h of n. So this equal to some value. That means that will give some greater value. So that is called the unstable system. Actually these 6 are the different types of systems. So now your first one, that means sensors and systems are the first block of the components in IoT system. So next, transducer. Actually what is the meaning of the transducer? Here combination of the sensor and device is called the transducer. That means you should take some help of the sensor and amplifier, so actuator. So together is called the transducer. So actually for any IoT systems, you should take help of the transducer, because of your transducers are some pickup elements. That means using transducers you can catch some physical quantity from the environment. So actually according to our definitions, actually this is the basic block diagram of the transducer. So first element is this is input device, you can call it the sensing element. So next is the controller or system, this is the amplifier. So next last one is the output device, this is the actuator. So actually your input of the transducer is called the sensor. So now output of the transducer is called the actuator. So this is the input of the transducer, and last one is the output of the transducer. First one you can call as the sensor, and next one you can call as the actuator. Between the actuator and sensor we are having some device, this is called the amplifier. So that means with the help of amplifier we are able to strengthen the input of the strengthened output of the sensing element. So that means in the place of amplifier you can take any controller, that may be either microcontroller, microprocessor, and advanced type of processors also. Actually our definitions, we are having 5 types of transducers. So simply you can say classification of transducers. First one based on transaction principle. So actually what is the meaning of the transaction principle. So already you know the definition of the transducer. That means any transducer converts one form of energy into electrical signal. That means one form of energy into other form of energy. So that is the role of the transducer. So that means now using first, based on the transaction principle, you can understand first classification of the transducer. So actually what is the meaning of the transaction principle? Transaction principle means, so any electrical quantity that will be converted in the form of the resistance, capacitance and inductance. Simply you can term it as resistive transducer, capacitive transducer and inductive transducers. So actually these are the some type of transaction. Okay. So next, second one, passive and active transducers. So already you know the idea about passive elements. So according to our explanations, what are the passive elements? Passive elements are the resistance, capacitance and inductance. So that means you, with the help of resistance, capacitance and inductance, so you can manufacture transducers. Actually, your resistance, capacitance and inductance are the some materials. So already you know the properties of the materials. Now using a material, we are able to catch so outside environment. So that is the reason we should take help of the resistance, capacitance and inductance. Next one, active transducers. So already you know the idea about active elements. So according to our theoretical explanations, so you can say diode, transistor, voltage source, current source, so etc. are the examples of the active transducer. So actually here, to start any passive transducer, you should apply some external existence. That means you should apply some current, some voltage. Now in that case, that will give some value to entire setup of the transducer. Next, active transducer. Actually here, active transducers are the self-generated type of transducer. To run this type of active transducers, do not require any external existence. That means do not apply any power supply on the active transducers. So this is the second classification. Next one, third classification, primary and secondary transducers. So primary means, so actually here primary, secondary are the like as some transfer function. That means transformer function. Transformer function means actually any transformer having two windings, primary winding and secondary winding. So actually here primary transducer will give some output, that means with the help of some input. So next, to run secondary transducer, you should provide output of the primary transducer to secondary transducer. That means here output of the primary transducer is the input of the secondary transducer. So in that case, that will give some output. So this is the function of the primary and secondary transducers. So next, analog and digital transducers. Analog transducers will give analog outputs. For example, any sensor output. So with the help of any circuitry, suppose for example gas sensor. So without any circuitry support, so that will give some analog output. So next, digital transducers. Actually mechanical sensors are the maximum digital transducers. So actually here digital transducers will give output in the form of digital. So this is the fourth classification. Last one, transducers and inverter transducers. Already you know the idea about transducer. Already I given definition of the transducer. So actually a transducer will convert any form of the energy into other form. That means this will convert any physical quantity in the form of electrical signal. This is the function of the transducer. So with the help of amplifier and actuator, so you can gather total information. So that is the reason you can call as this is a pickup element. Next one, inverse transducer. So actually this will convert any electrical signal in the form of a physical quantity. That is the function of the inverse transducer. So for example, resistive, capacitive and inductive transducers are the examples of the inverse transducers. That means actually the type of transducers will work on the transaction principle. That's why you can say that are the best examples. Actually these are the classification of the transducers. So actually here now I am giving some representation of the devices and amplifiers. So actually these are the some devices. That means to run any transducer, so now you should take in the place of controller, so some processor. That means here first one is the Arduino UNO. So already you know the function of the Arduino UNO. So using Arduino UNO you can connect analog outputs and digital outputs. So actually this having 14 pins as the digital. So remaining six pins are the analog pins. So next some pins support to receiving transmission and to run stepper motors, so like that also. Okay. So now using 40 digital and 6 analog pins, you can connect outputs. So this is the function of the Arduino UNO. So next one, this is the nanotype Arduino. So using nanotype Arduino, so we are able to run some communication protocols also. So next this one, some advanced type of Arduino. So nowadays it is available in the from ESP32, ESP8266 like that also. Now using this type of Arduinos, you are able to communicate direct to cloud. That means with the help of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so you can send data from system to cloud. So these are the types of the devices and amplifiers. So actually now here we are performing some communication. So that means we are sending some data to system to and cloud. That means we need some help of the communication. That means now with the help of some devices we are able to connect system and cloud. So now this combination you can say IoT devices. So see here these are the examples of the some Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, GSM and GPS devices. So first one is this is GSM device. So using this type of device you can send messages to cloud, to system also. So next one GPS. So with the help of GPS you can identify location of the device. So next Wi-Fi. So using Wi-Fi you can connect device to device with the help of some communication protocols. So next Bluetooth. So already you know the function of the Bluetooth. Using Bluetooth you can send wireless communication. Actually all are the wireless communications, right? These are the communication devices. So now, so with the help of sensor device and communication parts, now we can create IoT devices. So next, so actuators. So already I said actually here combination of the sensor, amplifier and actuator. is called the transducer. That means this is the entire setup. So now additionally you should take some help of the communication devices together is called the IoT device. That means now with the help of these devices you are able to create IoT devices. So see here, first one, some DC motor. So actually using this DC motor you are able to move any device. So that means with the help of DC motor, so you can rotate motors also. You can rotate wheels, that means for example robo, so like that. Next one, servo motor. So now using servo motor, you should take movement either forward or backward direction. That means you can take movement on off situation also like that. So next LCD. So actually using LCD you should see output of the device in the form of some letters. Okay. So actually nowadays it is available in market OLED type also. So this is the OLED type of display. Actually all are the actuators. Now using these actuators we are able to see output of the amplifier. We are able to observe output of the amplifier. So these are the actors. That means now you can say here combination of the sensor and controller actuator. So this is the setup of the some transducer. That means this will give one form of energy into other form. So finally use the help of communication, you can send data through some device to cloud. So these are the IoT devices. So actually what are the different components involved in IoT? Already I have given idea about the first one, sensors devices. Second, connectivity. So connectivity is also important factor. Actually all the collected data is sent to cloud with the help of infrastructure. So the sensors should be connected to the cloud using various mediums of the communication. So that means nowadays it is available in so many types of mediums. So with the help of protocols you can perform remaining operations. So actually the communication medium include mobile or satellite networks, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi and WAN, etc. So these are the communication devices. Now with the help of communication devices we are able to connect device and cloud. So next, data processing. Generally we are having two types of data processing, analog data processing and digital data processing. Actually your data processing, maximum we are preferable digital signal processing. This is a biggest setup. So with the help of some digital systems you can perform data processing. So actually here that means you should collect some data from some device. So and it gets to the cloud, the software performs processing on the gathered data. That means now with the help of some setup you should process the data according to our requirement. After that you can send some device to cloud with the help of some communications. So next, this process can be just checking the temperature reading on devices like AC or heaters. These are the examples. So different components involved in IoT. User interface is also one of the important factor. So users sometimes might need an interface which actually checks their IoT systems. Example, suppose a camera. Suppose one person he wants to access video recording and all the feeds with the help of web server. So now you should take help of the camera. That means using camera you can record such type of things also. Actually, why do IoT have to be self-adapting and self-configuring? So actually, now up to here I have given idea about the IoT devices. So actually here, why do IoT have to be self-adapting? Self-adapting means actually the sensor or device respond in dynamic events and have the ability to adapt to the change in the environment. So consider a surveillance system. Camera are installed for monitoring a location. So whenever there are no object in front of the camera, so in that case, that will be in a low power mode. So whenever an object is detected, the camera resumes its activity of the monitoring that object. This is the dynamic behavior. That means automatically this will respond for past situation, present situation and future situation. So now using resume, so automatically that will set positions. Suppose it is in daytime, so automatically that will there is no any need of the setup of the camera. So now during night time, so actually in night time there is no any lighting. That's why that will automatically change position to daytime. So that means there is a such type of facility. So that the reason this is the self-adapting. So actually I have given some examples also. Actually this is the example for self-adapting system as camera system. So now using these cameras, we are able to observe daytime activities and nighttime activities according to our requirement. Next, self-configuring. So that means with the help of IoT devices, we are able to control outside devices also. So that means with the help of IoT devices, we are able to monitor weather conditions, so like that. In the same way, some power conditions also, using some natural energy sources. So actually, for example, I have given one image. This is the self-configuring. Actually, it is located in some remote area. So with the help of IoT device, you can control such type of such type of devices also. Role of coordinators in wireless sensor networks. So actually here, so we are having 6 types of wireless sensor networks. That means with the help of some levels, so you can explain wireless sensor networks. So first level 1. Actually level 1 having only nodes, only one node. That means that will send data, that will receive data only, and that will analyze, that's all. Next level 2, that having some node. So in the same way that will catch data from the outside. So now this will send that data to cloud. This is the level 2. Level 3 having nodes and analyze data, and that will send that data to cloud with the help of some devices. Next level 4 having some nodes. Now that will analyze data and send to cloud. So these are the 4 types of level communications. Next one, level 5. So actually in this case, we are using multiple type of nodes and one coordinator. So actually with the help of multiple nodes, you can collect data. With the help of coordinator, you can collect data from the nodes. So this is the main role of the wireless sensor network. Applications of IoT. So already according to our theoretical explanations, we are having so many types of applications of IoT. First, agriculture. So agriculture, that means now using IoT devices, we are estimate wet and dry condition of the fields. So mainly nowadays we are using for the purpose of IoT devices to monitor soil condition. Now in the same way to monitor pest controls also. Next one, healthcare. So with the help of IoT device, so you can monitor condition of our health. For example, heart position, blood pressure, so like that. So many devices are there. With the help of the devices, we are able to monitor our health position. So next one, retail. For example, supermarkets. So with the help of IoT devices, we are able to identify position of the commodity and cost of the commodity. So like that also. That means we are using IoT device, we are able to take information of the retails also. Next, automation. So our mechanical devices, for example, vehicles. Now using IoT devices, we are able to create autonomous vehicles. So next one, smart city. So with the help of IoT devices, so now we are controlling entire situations in the cities. So that means with the help of IoT devices, we are able to control power. You can maintain drainage system. That means you have so many types of applications. So now with the help of IoT devices, we are able to control city without man hand, so without manpower. So next, home automation. So now using IoT devices, we are able to control our appliances in the house. For example, rice cooker, washing machine, lights, fans, AC. So whatever the instrument, so we can control with the help of IoT devices. Next one, transportation. So with the help of transportation, actually with the help of IoT device, now we are able to identify position of the vehicles. So actually where it is located, everything you can take information from the IoT devices. So actually these are the applications of IoT. So we have so many types of applications. Among that, I have taken only this type of applications. So up to here, this is the some idea about the unit 1. Actually, you can say simply this is the introduction of the IoT, introduction to IoT. So next, unit 2. So actually in unit 1, so there is a chance to ask questions on components of IoT. So what is the definition of the IoT? What are the characteristics of the IoT? So what are the things involved in IoT? So how many types of systems are there? How many types of transducers are there? So actually what are the protocols involving in IoT devices? Already I said 4 types of protocols. First one, the linked layer. Second, network layer. third transport layer, application layer. So with the help of 4 layers, we are able to run communications. So next, unit 2. So actually this having topics as limitations make SNP unsuitable for the IoT systems. Actually this is belongings to mission M2M communication, mission to mission communication. Actually there is a chance to ask limitations make SNMP unsuitable for IoT systems. So differentiate configuration and state data, SN, SDN and NFV. So net OPR, role of YANG and trans API, modules in device, SPI and I2C interface on Raspberry Pi, other IoT devices. So these are the topics in unit 2. So there is a chance to ask questions on these topics. Next one, unit 3, introduction of Arduino. So actually in this unit mainly you are using Arduino. With the help of Arduino, so you can control you can collect some data from sensing elements. That means you can make some IoT device also. So actually here we are using some Atmega 328 Arduino processor. So actually all are belongings to ARM processors. So next, Atmega 328 memory, AVR memory spaces and register packages. So actually there is a chance to ask questions on Atmega 320 memory, AVR memory spaces and register packages. Next, features and applications of Arduino. So pin configuration and applications of Raspberry Pi. So actually first 3 topics are belongings to Arduino. So next topic, pin configuration of the Raspberry Pi. So actually here Raspberry Pi is the advanced type of ARM controller. So using Raspberry Pi, we are easy to communicate our cloud structures like that also. That means so you can use for higher purpose communications. So actually this having some pin diagram. Generally we are preferable 40 pins latest version of the Raspberry Pi. So already you know the pin configuration of the Arduino that having 26 pins. Among 26 pins, 14 using for the purpose of digital, 6 for analog. So next, configuration and applications of the Raspberry Pi. Program and circuit diagram for the blinking LED using Raspberry Pi. So actually using Raspberry Pi, we are able to control some actuators. Here LED is also example for the actuator. So now using a small program, so you can blink LED. Next, program for control relay using Raspberry Pi. So actually here with the help of relays, we are able to run high power supply devices. Suppose I want to glow bulb, 230 volts bulb. Now with the help of Raspberry Pi, with the help of relay, we are able to glow 230 volts bulb. Program for control relay using Raspberry Pi. Next, explain pin diagram of L293D circuit. That means here L293 is the driver circuit. So with the help of L293D, we are able to rotate motors according to our requirement in different positions. That means you can move forward direction, reverse direction, you can move left, right, like that also. So that's why to run like that, you should take help of the L293 driver circuit. Components required to design control DC motor. So actually what are the components required to drive DC motor with the help of Raspberry Pi? So actually we need help of some wheels, now motors, DC motors, and L293 driver circuit and processor is Raspberry Pi. So with the help of these components, we are able to design control of DC motor. Next, unit 5. So explain cloud for IoT web server for IoT. Differentiate HTTP and HTML. So actually in this unit we are having some cloud server and web server for IoT. So actually with the help of cloud and web server you can create a communication link between the system and cloud. So for this we need some protocols, help of the protocols. Now in the same way we need some help of the HTTP, HTML, so like that also. So there is a chance to ask second question as HTTP and HTML. So next one, explain Python web application framework design using RESTful web API. So actually with the help of Python program, so you can create some web application framework design using RESTful web API. So actually these are the units in sensors and devices. So now with the help of this data you are able to write 100% answers. So anyhow this is the basic idea about the sensors and device. So now once again I will give some basic idea about the sensors and device. So already you know the definition of the sensor. So according to our explanation, definition of the sensor, so that will convert any physical quantity in the form of electrical signal. So basically it is some weak signal. Now with the help of amplifier we are conditioning output of the sensor. So instead of amplifier you can take any processor, simply you can call as the controller. So with the help of controller, so we are able to strengthen output of the sensor according to our requirement. Suppose now I want to see output of the controller with the help of some actuators. So that's why I will take help of the actuator as some speaker, LCD display, DC motor and OLED like that also. So actually in the market we are having so many types of actuators. This is the setup of the sensor. It's okay. But now, so I would like to make so overall some device, IoT device. Now in that case you should take some immediate system, help of the immediate system. Immediate means integration of the different types of the electronic circuits, say according to our requirement. So now in that case you will get some embedded device, that is called the IoT device. Now I want to perform IoT communication. Actually you know the full form of the IoT, Internet of Things. That means using internet we are able to control device outside control devices. That means so you should create some communication between the device and machine. That means with the help of communication protocols we can do like that. So this is the some basic idea about the sensors and device. So in the same way I have given types of systems also. Already you know the function of the system. That means a system means any system that will operate on a signal. That is called the system. So that means now you should change position of the signal with the help of system. So that's why here I have given nearly 6 types of systems. Actually, according to our explanations, we are having 2 types of systems, analog system and digital system. So here mainly we are using discrete time systems. So you can call it DTS system. According to our explanations, we are having 6 types of systems that are static and dynamic, causal, non-causal, linear, non-linear, time variant, time invariant, stable, unstable, FIR and IR systems. All are belongings to discrete time systems. Now with the help of that systems, we are able to create IoT devices. That means simply we add some communication to our devices. So that are some idea about the devices. So now using unit 2, unit 3 and unit 4, unit 5, so we are able to thoroughly understand sensors and devices. So actually what type of components we are required to run IoT devices. So actually your unit 2 will give some idea about the machine-to-machine communication. Machine-to-machine communication. So unit 3 will give idea about the processors, Arduino, Raspberry Pi. So actually we are having some other devices also. So with the help of other devices, we can take some extension. So with the help of Arduino, we can run some simple devices. For example, you can blink LED, you can rotate servo motor, you can catch temperature from the outside, you can catch humidity from the outside. So like that also. So now with the help of Arduino, we are able to run small type of devices. Now in the same way you can communicate other devices also with the help of latest communication protocols. Actually now using ESP32 and ESP8266, we are able to communicate other devices also. That means with the help of Wi-Fi, so Bluetooth we can do like that. So these are the this is the some idea about Arduino. Now suppose I want to run heavy missions, I want to communicate a long distance devices. Now in that case, I am able to take help of the Raspberry Pi. So that means we are able to run with the help of Raspberry Pi some distances. That means you are using only Wi-Fi, next Bluetooth, such type of communications. So that is the reason we are taking, that means we are passing communication from short distances also. That's all. Okay, next with the help of Raspberry Pi, we are able to run blink LED. Now in the same way we are able to operate relay. So like that also. So next unit 5 are the protocols. That means now using unit 5, we are able to create cloud computing. So with the help of web server, you can send data from ground station to cloud also. So next using this type of communications, with the help of Python program, we are able to create framework design of RESTful web APIs. So next unit 3 is there. Actually that is completely used for the purpose of write programs in Python platforms, Python consoles. So That the reason, just I given some idea, that's all. So, okay, thank you. This is the idea about sensors and devices. Okay, all the best. Thank you. Close it.